Hey there, baby. Smokers chugging. This is Gordy Brisket Barrett coming to you. The GoPro died this morning. Needs to be charged. So I may add some GoPro footage later on. I don't know. Here's where we're at. This morning, I started by taking a beef brisket, trimming it, trimmed a lot of fat off of it, butchered it into 3 separate pieces. I separated the flat from the point. Kind of made a mess out of the point, but I'm turning it into a pastrami, so hopefully it won't matter anyway. And I cut the flat into half, so I kind of gave away the secret of what's going on here. I've got those 3 pieces of meat, that 1 whole brisket, in the brine bucket, brining, turning it into a corned beef. And then from there, I'm going to take 1/2 of the flat and give it away to a friend of mine who shall remain nameless at the moment. And then the other one, I'm going to eat. The 3rd piece, the point, I'm going to turn into a pastrami. Love pastrami, love homemade pastrami. Made one with a store-bought brisket, corned beef brisket. And it was fantastic, but I since then have made what's called a New England-style gray corned beef, which is not using the pink curing salt, saltpeter. There's so many different terms, I don't know which is which, but like the pink salt, the curing salt, the salt that makes the meat turn that pink color that you get when you buy a corned beef brisket from the supermarket. Consequently, the meat has, like, you know, it has like that iridescent sheen like ham does, but it's gray. It's not pink, and it tastes so much better. Oh, it was amazing. So I thought to myself, wow, I've done the pastrami out of corned beef that I bought, and I've done corned beef that I've made, which was amazing. What if I do both? So that's coming. Anyway, that's going to be in a few days because I just got it in the brine bucket today. I'm imagining it's going to take about 4 days with the size of pieces that I have in there to get that brined up and make it taste right. And then we'll head on from there. We'll make new videos when that comes out. Anyway, going forward, today is kind of like my late birthday. Yesterday was my birthday, and it rained, and it was tornado warnings, and it was awful weather outside, and I didn't get to do my ribs. I bought a rack of St. Louis style ribs to cook for my birthday, and I didn't get to do that. So right now the ribs are in the kitchen. They've got a little salt on them, the last of my rub. I have to make a new batch of rub. And they're just waiting to be put on the smoker. So the smoker, I haven't fired up yet. So that's part of this video. I don't know if I can get this, but anyway, here's a little test that I'm going to perform just to try these 2 items out. I've seen that a lot of you have used these, and rather than using the paper, I don't have any shortage of paper, but I figured it's always good to have different items in your arsenal. So we have the Weber paraffin cubes, and we have the Royal Oak tumbleweeds, I guess people call these. It's a fire starter that's made out of shaved wood and paraffin. I'm going to use both just to see how they work, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in my chimney, or under my chimney, probably one under my chimney, and put the tumbleweed inside of it, and then light some coal and get my fire going. I'm a little late in the day trying to do this, so I'm not going to have supper until late at night tonight, but I'll keep you posted. Okay, I've got to do 2 things here. Inside, on top of the little basket, but underneath the charcoal, I put that tumbleweed, and then I have this Weber cube. So I'm going to light both. I'm just going to let it go and see what happens. So I got them both going. I've got the tumbleweed going. I've got the Weber cube going. I'm going to go back inside because on my stove I got 2 things going on right now. This week during quarantine I was watching Alton Brown, and he had some fantastic recipe for onion dip. So I'm cooking onions, and I got to make sure they don't burn, so I got to go real quick. And right next to it I have 2 briskets worth of beef fat rendering so I can make some tallow for deep frying French fries. So we got potatoes planted in the garden. Hopefully I can make some tallow, put it in a can, freeze it, and whip it out when it's time to make some French fries later on in the season. Anyway, she's chugging now. Gonna light the fire, and I'm gonna go check on onions. Okay, this, I don't know, a minute or 2 later I went and stirred my onions. The tumbleweed side is definitely lit. The I'm not really sure. I don't see if I can get it on video. The Weber thingy is definitely burning, but I can't tell from my angle if the flame is high enough to actually hit the bottom of the coals. I presume it is, because I've seen a bunch of other people on YouTube doing this and watch the smoke follow me no matter where I go. That's my thing. It seems like they set the cube down on the pavement or on a piece of metal or whatever, put the chimney on top of it, light the cube, and the cube's flames go high enough to hit the bottom of the charcoal and get it started. So smells not like matchlight. It kind of smells like a candle and charcoal. So I'm thinking that probably one of these, either one of these would have been enough, but I just wanted to try both just to see. And I don't think I'll be using two of them from now on. We'll see if it looks like it's caught. I can't imagine it's not with that much smoke. But we'll see in a few minutes if it goes through and if any of the flavor is retained. I'm kind of hoping that these don't leave like a lighter fluid flavor or a waxy flavor in the coals, but I'm guessing that since I only used the coals to get the fire started, and that I probably, you know, I won't be using any coal after once the fire is started, depending upon how my wood burns. It's still not entirely seasoned, but I'm hoping that it's good enough that if I warm it in the firebox that they should be able to keep the fire going. And I don't need a real high temperature to do ribs, so I'm just hoping everything comes out good, and I'll keep you posted on the results. Hey, I just wanted to show you what's going on in the kitchen here. This is why I had to dash away from my charcoal, which I'm going to dash back to right now to check and see where we're at. Anyway, following the Alton Brown video about how to make good onion dip, this is 4 giant onions that have been reduced down to this point so far, and they're going to go even further until they're brown. Deglaze the pan with a little bit of Lambrusco vinegar to use as sherry, and then we're going to make dip, onion dip. Also, we got a big old pot full of beef fat rendering. Hopefully make some tallow for later projects. So that's what's going on inside the kitchen. Also, we have the giant dog, and he is slobbering over this, a rack of ribs that has been rubbed ever so gently because I ran out of rub. I have to make another batch. Anyway, I'm going to wait until the next time I cook pork so it's as fresh as possible. But anyway, that's where we're at right now. We're going to go back out and check the charcoal. And magically, we're back outside. Looks like my chimney of charcoal is ready to dump. I'm not ready for it though because my gloves are inside. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to start my fire. This is what always happens when you try to do too many things at one time, at least to me. I'm a guy and guys don't multitask. So anyway, the onion's burnt a little bit. Not burnt, but like overly brown. So I caught them before they got to be a giant waste of my time and money. But they're not ideal. They don't look like Altons. So I'm going to keep a little eye on this. So my water pan had some gross fat in it. We're going to scrape that out, clean it up, put it back in here in the smoker box. Let's see if our fire's caught yet. Oh yeah, maple's catching. It's still hissing. I can't believe this maple has been seasoning for months and months. And we have had a lot of rain, but it seems like the fire is getting hot anyway. And hopefully I'll be able to maintain temperature. I'm going to put a couple more logs in there. I got to split some up. I was going to do that earlier today, but I didn't have my boots on. I don't like using the axe with bare feet, so we're going to shut this up. Shut me up. It's funny because as wet as that wood is, you can't even see the smoke. It's one of the reasons I love maple, is it burns hot and it burns clean. It's a little touchy sometimes to find the right size of fire. And I'm trying to heat up all the mass of this 300 and some odd pound smoker and get the internal temperatures to level out, which I will not be able to do until I have the water pan in there. But once all that's accomplished, and generally speaking, that takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours. Right now it's not terribly cold. I would say it's probably in the 60s, low 60s, maybe high 50s, and starting to get a little white there, but it's not, it's still pretty blue, and it's moving. You can tell there's a lot of airflow moving through that smoker, and it's still kind of on the thin blue side. I wouldn't want to see it any thicker than that if I had food on there, but again, we're just warming the box up right now. But as it progresses, that's one thing I really like about maple, besides the flavor and the smell, is the fact that it burns clean and it doesn't smolder, and it's good stuff, even if it's a little wet, which this stuff obviously is. So going forward, you're going to see more on that. Back to the onions, starting to look pretty good. Back to the fire. Now I'm headed back to the onions. Okay, things have been a little too hectic here to do any kind of filming for, I don't know, an hour or so. So anyway, I don't know if you can see that. Got my temps down to a normal range. Started my fire, started with a little bit of a big fire, and then the sun came out and made everything hot. And I forgot that I had my water pan out of the box. So my temperature's up around 400 degrees. I started seeing all this billowing white smoke, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not my fire. And it was all the crud that was collected on the plate inside. So I'm going to open it up real quick. As you guys can see, that plate right there normally goes in the firebox. That's where you're supposed to build your fire. But I've swapped the, ooh, look at those ribs. Just put them on. So anyway, I swapped the bottom shelf that was expanded metal, and we can shut that off because yes, my temperature's now too low, for what used to be the fire grate. And the fire grate now acts as a I don't know what you call it, like one of those plates that kind of evens out the temperature, or I don't know, some buffer of some sort. And in addition to that, I have my full and clean water pan. So since then, I've had you know how difficult it is getting temperatures come back down. So I've had to choke my fire, which I don't like to do. As you can see, I'm only about a third of the way open, but nice clear smoke. So we're gonna add a log before we lose our ash bed entirely, our coal bed. I'm going to leave this open for a minute until that log catches. Oh, look at how fast that caught. See, I like to warm them on top first and then inside the firebox. Sometimes it bites me in the ass like it did before when the two I had warming off to the left side of the firebox started catching on fire. And is what that, in addition to the water pan, gave me the 400 degree temperatures I was at. So anyway, now we're, well, maybe let it flame up just a little bit, just to be sure it's not affecting my smoke. My box temperature is a little low, but it'll go back up once I close the door. I want to make sure this guy's all the way caught. And I think I'll take another little one and put him in the warmer. So, trying to keep the fire little, but trying not to let it burn out so much that I can't light the next log. That's the challenge here, the warm weather challenge. So anyway, I'm figuring it out, and I'll keep you posted as I go. Got about an hour and 50 minutes until I really need to look at the ribs again. Smoker's been going for a little while, evened out my temperatures. We're hovering around 250. I try to make this thing go like 225, and the struggle here, especially with the maple, is that, you know, the wood burns so clean that the ashes, the cinders, the coals drop through. Even the expanded metal grate that I have in there, they just drop through and there's nothing left. So by the time your temperature is on the downswing, it's already too late to add a log. So you end up finding yourself putting smaller and smaller logs on. The smaller logs have a lot of surface area. They catch, they go boom, your temperatures go up. So I don't know, it's a struggle. I'm still trying to figure out the best configuration for the logs, how long, how fat, how, you know, how often, bark or no bark. I don't know. There's a lot of different variables, but I've been trying everything, and I found that, like, you know, the smoker likes to run like 250, 260, 270, somewhere in that area. Not hard to make it do that unless it's like bitter cold or windy or rainy or super hot out. But normally that's about what it likes to do. So anyhow, I had the ribs in there for an hour. They're looking pretty good. Like, I wish I'd stopped and taken a picture, but I made this burger last night. It was just, you know, got the old Black Angus chuck from the supermarket and cooked it in a cast iron pan. You know, toasted a little potato bun and whatever, and had it the way I normally have it. It was nice. It was a nice burger. So today I had a leftover couple of them. I put one in the smoker on the top shelf to warm it up, maybe give it a little flavor. Got it warm, threw a couple of slices of pepper jack cheese on it. And earlier in the video you saw me making the reduced onions for the onion dip. And I was like, I only need a half a cup of that. There's like a cup and a half there, so let's take some, put it on a burger. So I did. I toasted the bun, I slathered a little bit of the onion on the burger. Burger's warming up in the smoker with a pepper jack cheese, a little mayo, a little ketchup. Boom. Fantastic. Only problem is I was starving. I was hangry because I haven't eaten since like 9 o'clock this morning. And finally caught up with me, and as soon as I saw it, I dug in, and I didn't take any pictures. So hopefully if I make another one, you'll get some pictures, but maybe not. Anyway, take my word for it. It was fantastic. Okay, peoples, all that work on the kitchen stove made this. Oh, the dog just made a noise. Made this onion, I don't know, relish, I guess you would call it. And then from that, I made the Alton Brown onion dip. A little more than that. Oh, delicious. Nom nom. Okay, folks, 3-2-1 method is supposed to be 3 hours on the smoke, and 2 hours wrapped up with some squeezed butter and some barbecue sauce and brown sugar and honey and all kinds of other crap in tin foil. And everybody that knows me knows I don't like tin foil, aluminum foil. Yeah, shut up. So this is 2 hours in, and I think I may go maybe another half an hour. And I think I'm going to wrap them in the butcher paper. I got a boatload of butcher paper. I got my little dispenser. I'm thinking that's the way to go. And I don't think I'm going to do it with any goo. Maybe a little bit of sauce, but like not like the whole thing with the butter and the mustard and the honey and the blah, blah, blah. I want to taste the pork. So anywho, that just took me down to 156 degrees. We're going to open the firebox door up a little bit, make sure that sucker's turning. In another half an hour or so, I'm probably gonna wrap them in the paper. Maybe I'll give it a think, but I don't think it's gonna be overly extravagant. I don't think it's, I definitely don't have squeeze butter. That's something I don't buy, so I'm not gonna be putting that on there. Maybe a little mustard. I don't know. I don't think so. We'll see. We'll figure something out. More likely, it's going to be my my On the One barbecue sauce. A little squirt of that. Spread it thin. Put it in the paper. Call it a day. Put it back on the smoker maybe another hour and a half, and then check and see where we're at. Temperature's climbing up. 211, 212. Got it choked down about halfway. Been having to add logs, little splits about every, I don't know, half hour or so. I haven't really been paying attention. My temperature's back up kind of where it was. I was down 150 something a minute or two ago. And you can see I'm already back up 221. She's been running about 265. And, you know, it's funny. This smoker likes 265, and it's kind of difficult to make it do anything else. I mean, yeah, you can ramp it up and you can put a rager in there, and you know, my smoke is still clean. It's been clean all day. That's right after I put a log in, so you can put a raging fire in here and get it up to 350, 400 if you wanted to. Not with a water pan. I don't think it would do that with a water pan full of water. Well, at least it wouldn't stay full of water for very long. But I don't know why anybody would want to do that. This is not really what this is for. You're supposed to be able to barbecue 225, 250, and it's a 265 smoker, and it's headed there right now. We were down 155 2.5 minutes ago, and we're already back up to 238. Just threw a log on, shut the door after I spritzed. Well, folks, I'm up on about 5.5 hours, and I know that ribs are supposed to take about 6 hours if you follow the 3-2-1 method. I wrap mine in paper instead of foil. The one thing I realized, I never poked it with a thermometer until I was in around 4.5 hours, and the one end that was closer to the end that I keep the fire on was 20 degrees hotter. So I ended up putting the whole rack over to that side. I build my fire on the right hand side, and I warm logs on the left, and been able to maintain temperature fairly well. Like I said, it likes about 265, and I've been going mostly between 245 and 265 today. And you know, I'll open the door for a long time and it'll drop down below 200, but it comes back up pretty quick. Like less than 30 seconds ago it was 190 degrees, but you know, you shut the door back up and you stoke the fire a little bit and it climbs back up pretty quick. And you can see I'm almost up to 240, and it'll slow down when it gets to 245, and it'll top out around 260, 265. Still burning nice clear smoke. Love that maple. I don't need to be burning the good stuff right now because I've got the meat wrapped, but I don't want to get any gross flavors inside my smoker, and I'm practicing. I look at this as practice for maintaining a temperature for when I don't have the meat wrapped. So nice clear smoke, and the meat is wrapped, and the fire, she burning. So I just put on one log, and maybe in the last couple of minutes I can watch that all day, but I have to shut it up. And I found that having my vent set around 2/3 of the way open, you know, at this ambient temperature, which is about high 60s, seems to work fairly well. I can keep the fire burning clean, but it doesn't run away with me, and I get about, I don't know, half an hour out of a log. Okay folks, ready to go in for the last section. I took them out of the paper wrapping, and I got some pullback on this section here, but this part here, the thickest part, still seems to be a little low in temperature. I think it's like 190 degrees or so. This end is right up around 200, so I'm going to put it back on the sheet just to tack up this this sauce. And I think that these ones will be, the bones will come right out, and this will have a little pull, but I think it'll all be done enough to eat. Anyway, I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to throw these back in the smoker, and another 15-20 minutes we'll be eating. Here's our final project. I see now why people brush the barbecue sauce on to make it even. I squirted it on like this, thinking it would just run everywhere when I tacked it up in the smoker, but it didn't. So they're not the prettiest ribs, but I got a little piece that fell off the bottom when I put it up from the baking sheet onto the paper to cut, and it tasted pretty good to me, so I think I'm going to be happy with it. So I tried slicing them up, and apparently I don't know how to slice ribs. Some of the ribs are going this way, some of the ribs are going this way, and I seem to hit them. And then there was some that, you know, you pull the rib and the rib rib just comes right out, so I know that's done. This end was more like you have to bite the meat to get it off the rib, which I guess is what the competition people look for. I don't know. I don't really care about that. I think if that's what you like them, then fine. I like this end, so that's where I'm going to eat my ribs from. And I'm having difficulties with the phone because that's one hand, that's the other. So now my phone case has got barbecue sauce on. Let's see if I can turn my phone off my tongue. Morning, peoples. So this is the giant pot of beef fat that I had rendered. This morning I skimmed that out of it, and I'm going to pour that liquid that's collected in the bottom back into the pot. And I had the pot to boiling again, trying to get the solids on the bottom to settle. I don't know if you can really see it, but it looks to me as if there's a good, I would say at least a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of fat floating on the top. And it's about as clear as I'm going to be able to get it. But the idea is to let it harden in a cool place, congeal, and then scrape that top layer of fat off, and that is tallow for frying. I did a rough calculation on my phone. This pot is about 12 inches in diameter. It means the radius is 6 inches, and according to the formula on the internet about the volume of a cylinder, a right cylinder, a 1/2 inch by 12 inch bowl of fat, which I'm figuring I have a 1/2 inch of fat floating there, is about 56 cubic inches. And I figured if one of those 1 pound deli containers is about 5 inches across and 2.5 inches tall, that ends up 49 cubic inches. So I should have more than a 1 pound plastic deli container like what you would get potato salad or coleslaw in. I should have more tallow than that. Reusing something that would otherwise have gone to waste, and tallow makes the best French fries and fried foods in general. So if you've ever had a clam cake cooked in beef fat or French fries cooked in beef fat, then you know what I'm talking about. It's a little bright out here today, but at least the sun came out. Do a recap. The smoker's working pretty good. The maple, although it had been rained on a couple of times and seemed to be hissing a little bit when I first started it up, for the most part, especially when I dry the wood inside the firebox or up on top like these logs here, it's seasoned enough. So I think officially barbecue season has begun. I was worried that it might be June or July before that happened, but you know, as the season progresses, that wood will continue to be more and more well seasoned and suitable for barbecuing. So just want to give you a little recap of what we did yesterday. Cooked a rack of ribs, St. Louis style spare ribs. It's only about the second time I've ever cooked ribs. It's not my specialty. It's not something that I've been practicing on. They turned out okay, but I learned a lot from that cook that I think I can improve it on the next cook. A couple of techniques and mixtures of woods and what to do, what not to do. Spritzing was definitely a good idea. However, what I was spritzing with had a little high sugar content, so the edges got kind of a little caramelized. I like that flavor. I don't know if other people do though. I know that I've seen some really pretty ribs online. Mine are not pretty, but they're pretty good. So I can't complain about it too much. In addition to the ribs, we made a batch of Alton Brown's onion dip. And I gotta tell you, even if I don't make the onion dip ever again, which I'm sure I will, I'm definitely making that onion, the condensed onions, because they're fantastic on burgers, and I'm sure they'd go on a lot of other really good things. I found out today, this morning, that they go good on bologna sandwiches too. So, made onion dip, made ribs, made tallow. I'm pretty psyched that I didn't let that go to waste. That was the trimmings from the last 2 briskets. I would say probably about 7 pounds of fat, which I'm hoping turned into about a pound or more of tallow that I can use to fry in French fries. I got barbecue made, I got dip made, I got tallow made. I'll see you guys later. Smoker's chugging, baby.